Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Hero of Kendrickstone. Let's dive right in with what looks to be the last chapter. Chapter 8, A Final Battle. You keep yourself low in the brush as you creep closer to the man standing not 30 paces away from you. You take care not to move too carelessly or breathe too heavily. Even the slightest sign could give you away, and if the bandit sentry you are stalking gives the alarm, your life will very likely get very uncomfortable very quickly. Armed with the court wizard's assurances of the location of the bandit camp, you set out early that morning to take a bandit prisoner. That's why you are here, hidden in the forest underbrush, just out of sight of the archers on the wall, trying to creep ever closer to the black-clad man ahead so that you might take him alive. The most obvious approach would be to simply sneak in and get as close as possible and overpower him, but that would mean getting within arm's reach without being detected. Not exactly an easy task. Alternatively, you could try luring the bandit closer somehow, getting him to move within reach instead of the other way around. Lastly, you could simply use magic to break into his mind. Once there, you could easily knock him out and take him prisoner. You'd have to move rather quickly, though. Even an untrained mind might be able to detect someone rummaging through their head, if that someone lingered around long enough. So, what's the plan? We're gonna lure him to us. We can't sneak and we're not magicians, so plan B. You think about what to say to lure the bandit out. The key here is to get him close without arousing his suspicions too much. If you don't get his attention, the ruse won't work. But if you say something too incongruous or suspicious, he'll catch on to what you're doing. After a moment of thought, you go for it. Hey, you whisper. Over here. The guard turns around towards you. What? Who's there? He calls out, his voice strangely cold. Quiet, you hiss back, trying to put as much worry and fear into your voice as possible. They'll hear you. The brigand steps closer to you. So far, so good. What's going on? He replies in a whisper, but still suspicious. Who will hear me? There's a band of some kind of adventurers from the city right behind me. I ran into them on the road. You'll have to warn the camp. Your whisper grows just a little bit quieter. The bandit steps closer, almost unconsciously, to hear you. What? The sentry looks around nervously, stepping forward yet again. Where are they? He's almost within your reach. Just one more push ought to do it. There, you whisper as quietly as you can. The bandit leans in closer, to within your grasp. Right here! You leap out and bear the surprised bandit to the ground. You clamp one hand over his mouth before he can raise an alarm and force your other around his neck, choking him with your forearm until his breathing becomes shallow and his limbs fall limp. Okay, that worked. It takes you 3 long hours to drag your prisoner back to the city. Thankfully, he doesn't wake up. You drop the captured bandit off at the keep, where the jailers have a secure cell waiting for him. In the meantime, you return to your lodgings, eat a quick meal, and soothe your aching muscles as best you can. Then you return to the keep. As much as you'd like to simply call it a day, this isn't a crisis that is going to wait. It won't be long before the bandits find one of their sentries missing and change their password or take some other measures. No, there's no time to waste. You have a prisoner to interrogate. It's the strangest thing, the jailer says as she looks over her through her heavy keyring. Ever since we threw him in there, the man's just been repeating the same thing over and over. The stout gray woman pauses as she plucks one of the keys and slots it into the heavy cell's door's lock. Oh, that was a long sentence. It's like he doesn't know how to say anything else, she continues, even as she turns the key and begins opening the door. We've tried asking him things like his name, but all he replies is the same damned nonsense. She pushes the door open and steps to the side, letting you through. Here, she says, you can have a listen for yourself. The man you captured earlier in the morning sits against the stone wall of his cell, his gaunt features defiant. The door closes behind you as you approach the prisoner. You see his lips moving, and hear the quiet mantra he speaks under his breath. The city cannot hold. The city must surrender. The city will submit, and Milanus Blackclad will burn it to the ground. The city cannot hold. The jailer nods. You see? She sighs in expiration. I wish we had 2 or 3 months. We could have put him to question and gotten what we needed out of him that way. Torture would have been out of the question anyway, you reply flatly. The jailer shrugs. Right then, by all means, try your own approach. Hope you can do better than us. As you approach, he turns to you expectantly, his black, cold, magic-twisted eyes boring into you. What will you say? Should we try the nice guy approach or just beat around the bush? Let's ask him. Beat around the bush. The prisoner laughs, a cold, dead sound devoid of any mirth or warmth. Lord Milanus hates Kendrickstone because it betrayed him, because its people turned on him, and because its knights drove him from the city. Lord Milanus hates Kendrickstone because Kendrickstone hates him. The bandit smiles again as his cold eyes continue to stare blankly into you. And how profitable that hate is for those who follow in his shadow. When the city falls, I will have my share of the rewards too. You stare back. How could someone's mind work so cruelly? How could someone be so utterly twisted, even with the help of long-woven magic, as to think the cataclysmic fall of a city of thousands only in terms of profit? Is he so truly lacking in empathy? What about you, or... Let's ask him why he hates it. For the first time, the darkness in the bandit's eyes seemed to fade, even as they narrow in puzzlement. Hate? I don't hate Kendrickstone. I was born here. My parents live in a house with red tiles in the shadow of the Butcher's Bridge. The prisoner's cold expression falters for a moment. You can see the minute cracks forming in his emotional defenses. Perhaps if you could take advantage of it, you might be able to break him free. He shakes his head. It doesn't matter. The city will fall soon enough, and there will be nothing left of it. There, you hear it. Almost a tinge of sadness? Regret? Whatever it is, it means you're making progress. Best you speak carefully now, lest you undo the scant progress you've managed so far. Now I'm really thinking about it. Then why do you support Milanus if he plans to destroy it? Yeah, I like that. What? The bandit replies, confused, frightened even. Whatever shell of detachment the mind-twisting magics of the teleportation circle have given him is clearly starting to crack. You take your chance. If you grew up here, if your family still lives here, you reiterate, calmly and steadily so he has no chance of misunderstanding you, why do you support Milanus Blackclad if he plans on destroying it? The prisoner stares at you, and you see his control breaking. Why do I? He whispers. Why do? His face contorts into a look of horror as the slow, choking realization finally reaches him. He begins to shake, his head sinking into his palms. What am I? What have I? You did some horrible things, you reply, trying to keep your voice as soft as possible. But we can still stop things from getting worse. To do that, I would like your help. The man looks back at you, still shivering. You want my help? You nod and extend your hand. I need it, actually. Help me, and atone for what you've already done. Help me save the city. He looks at your hand, and then reaches out and takes it. Yes, we did it. Aw, yeah. And we just got an achievement there. DC 20 Diplomacy. Nice, whatever that means. With the prisoner's help enlisted, you quickly secure his release. Your success buoys your spirits. You make your way to the stairs, the still shaken prisoner in tow. You only need a few minutes to calm him down. He readily accepts your proposal that you lead and the Duke Knight, that he lead you and the Duke's Knights past the sentry bandits. In the meantime, you eat a quick meal and check over your weapons one last time before you set out to end the threat of Milanus Blacklad and his bandit army, once and for all. Oh wow, that was an extremely short chapter. But hey, that worked out beautifully. I'm actually going to call this a part here because this final battle, I kind of wanted to keep it to its own part, which is why I was expecting this to be the final part. But that's okay. One more part, it looks like. Anyway, I will see you guys next time with Chapter 9, Liking the Stories. Later.